There's so much gifts and talents and hidden treasures, huh? Well, you're one too, you know. Think about some of you, when I was here before. Think about the journey you've had since my first time here. So I hope you'll be real proud of yourselves and give yourself a high five. Like you're a model for thriving ministry, a model for conscious creators, for causative change agents that says, we are empowered. We are living out these principles. Things happen. And then you stepped in. You stepped up. You deepened. You applied the principles. And you are living now as a model, as an example for thriving ministry. So not only are you causing yourselves a soul's progression for yourselves, for one another, but for this city, this town, this state, for the movement, for unity as a movement. And I'm determined, and with you, I believe, we're all co-inspirators to get this teaching to the whole of the planet. So I've got my part of that. You've got your part of that. And I can reach this many. Then we can reach this many. And then eventually. So pause with me a minute. And give yourself a high five. Give yourself an inner high five. A high five. Now turn to somebody and give them a high five. And thank them. Thank them for being here today. For coming back again and again and again. For leading, for creating, for dreaming, for doing, for thinking, for applying this. And I hope that as you go through this week, you'll continue to give yourself a little high five. I've got a little great niece who's 3. And it's one of her favorite things to do. Give yourself a high five. So put a little frolic in your own life. Give yourself a high five. Have you noticed what happens to your energy when you're trying to get a high five from somebody else? What happens? When you're seeking approval, seeking acknowledgement, seeking appreciation from others. How does that go? What happens to your vital life energy? It depletes when you're seeking. Then have you noticed that when you get it, it wasn't quite what you had in mind? This is only for the honest ones. So it's insatiable. This wanting is insatiable. So then if I continue to be hostage to that wanting, then I've established myself as someone to be irritated, frustrated, sad, disappointed. After all I've done. After all I've done for God. So is the hell in what they're doing or not doing? Or is the hell in their withholding? Or is the hell in the wanting? Is the stress and the pain in the seeking or in what they're doing or not doing? Where's the stress? This is good news. You know, that's what the word the gospel means, I believe. This is the good news, the gospel of the day. This is good news. Because if I continue to seek in the external, to seek in the outer, then I'm going to continue to be miserable. More suffering. And at any minute and in any situation and in any interaction, I can pause and take the direct route and do for me what I'm wanting them to do for me. I can give to myself what I want another to give to me. Then I'm free again. liberated again. Does this interest you? Liberation? Freedom? It's not a rhetorical question. Does this interest you? Yes. Freedom interests me. Liberation interests me. Then it will require me to transcend some of these old, archaic, dinosauric ways of being. And to come out from under the myths, the fantasies that I innocently took on, that you innocently took on. Things like children should listen to their parents. Fantasy or reality? All together? Let's have a little choir. Fantasy, fantasy, fantasy. So it's an absolute myth to think that children are going to listen to their parents. Any of you parents? Yes. Well, how does that work? Then all the energy we put into getting them to listen to us like it's possible, when we don't even listen to us. Now that gets good. Because then all the profound, wise advice I have, guess who it's for? And only me. And then the day I start living that advice, that day that I start applying my own preaching, then just maybe, there's some effect somewhere else. When I clean the projection, the projector, the projection changes. So other myths, like my spouse should understand me. Any of you married? Well, whoever's by you is probably elbowing you, you know. So do they understand you? Seldom. So, now, this is why people won't let me do their marriage vows anymore. Because they're really reality-based. So they'll understand me at times, and they won't at times. That's the way of it. I'll feel supported by them at times, and absolutely not supported by them at times. And then it'll require me to grow myself up. It'll require me to not let the 3-year-old and the 4-year-old in me run my show as I grow myself up, which is not all that popular. And it's so painful not to do it. So I hear about every day, Martha, this is hard work. This is hard work. Like what you bring forth is hard work. Like, you're telling me. And it's harder not to do it. It's harder not to do it because even if it's uncomfortable and takes some practice and hard work, rewiring, boot camp, unless and until we do that, then it's chronically stressful, chronically painful, chronic suffering, chronic anxieties. 2,000 recorded years of it. So not just a notion that I don't want to hand that down to the next 7 generations. How about you? That what I want to hand down is something new and something different and far more interesting, far more causative, far more taking responsibility for the parts that I can change, clear about the parts I can't, and active and making a difference where a difference can be made. And I naturally believe that's what you're about too, or you wouldn't be here today. Something called you here. Something impulsed you to go. Many of you didn't even want to. you had something more important today. And it brought you here. It got you here. That impulse, that higher thinking, that higher consciousness, that will move us to keep us in alignment, in the integrity of what we're here for, in the integrity of what we've come on the earth to do and what we've come on the earth to be, to consciously evolve as a species of brothers and sisters, and to actually activate and utilize this large part of our brain, the neocortex, the cognition, rational thinking, high thinking, innovative thinking, creative thinking, resourcefulness, problem solving aspect of ourselves that only we have, the only species so far. And only until we come up out of this little teeny pea-sized part of the brain, referred to as the reptilian brain, the animalistic brain that knows only to fight, to flight, or to shut down. And if I live regressed like that, then I've not moved into the potential for a new earth, a new way of being in the earth, and to use the faculties that we've been given, empowered with, wired with, equipped with, to create such a world. So big deep breaths. The topic today is practical transcendence. So how to do this? How to do this when there's so many knuckleheads? So which knucklehead you going to start with? Some of you are quick. Some of you were here at 9 o'clock or 9:25 service. Like there's one knucklehead to start with. This one. So then if I want that knucklehead to stop being a knucklehead, where does it leave me? So what if then when they're being a knucklehead, I'm less of a knucklehead? What about that? Because unless I start there, now we've got two knuckleheads. You're quick. And then 2 becomes so who holds the power for less knuckleheadness in the world? Turn to somebody by you and say, hey, I got the key. I got the key to this. I've got the key to this. I've got the key to reducing knuckleheadness in the world. And I'm going to use that key starting today. I'm holding a deck of cards. There's different images, 60 images I've shot from pictures around the world on my telephone. And I shoot them as people tell me they live vicariously through me. And I put them forth for I want me to remember what I love, how I love, where I love. And I want to see and know the presence of God in all things. Not in my limited world of things. So I'm going to read from the cards, and they're out there if you want to look at them or get some. What if all I had to my name was what I thanked God for yesterday? So a practice of gratitude. Grateful, grateful, grateful. It's my primary spiritual practice. Grateful. Is it always easy? Altogether. No. And is it always possible? Yes. It is an option, even when it's not going the way I wanted it. Even though I feel disappointment or irritations or sadness or loss, there's something to be grateful for. One of the women that left said she came in to the early service telling herself, I've got to go watch my best friend die. And she left the service saying, I get to go watch my best friend die. I got to, I have to, or I get to. And it's all in the framework I'm looking through. One big shift. Basic to our teachings. So Unity says, the experience I'm having is caused by what? The experience I'm having is caused by what I think about it, what I'm naming it. So if I want to experience what is differently, I hold the power to name it something else, to get a different framework around it. And then I get to have a different experience then in life, instead of demanding life to be different and waiting on that. Instead of, I'll be different. No more waiting. Be uncommonly motivated to see something through. That's what I experience in your community here. That you were uncommonly motivated to get to the other side of this transition. That you were uncommonly motivated to come in again, to try something new, to kind of batten down and do whatever was necessary. So get a sense of how you've done this in your life. When it wasn't easy, people would even look into your life and go, how'd they do that? How does she do that? Where does that grit come from? And how uncommonly you can persevere. How uncommonly you can stay the course with a motivation that is not to be understood. Get a sense of that in your being, your own grit, your own perseverance, your power of that. Now, what will this tell you? Oh, you can't. You can't. You don't have a degree. You're over 50. You need to lose a few pounds. See, I'm a mind reader. So what's the reality of it? Lead me not into the temptation of mind, for there is more misery in hell. Deliver me from the allure of the mind. Deliver me, for thine is the power. For there is the power for me to live these principles. For there is the power for me to stay the course for something that matters to me, that contributes to the world that I want to see, to live in. Get a sense of who you would be if you stopped seeking from another person. If you didn't seek love and approval and appreciation from another person, what would that do for your energy? Can you get a sense of it? It's like, I'm going to take the direct route now. Let nothing stop you. It's a little bee. Have you heard what they're saying about the bees? Do you think the bees are minding? Even while we panic, the bees are doing what bees do. What they're instinctually wired for, what their DNA demands, what their natural impulse, their calling demands for them. This is the one that Greg got yesterday in the workshop. Lead me not into the temptation of mind, as it is full of boogers. Take a big, deep breath. Now imagine you, after today, have transcended some of this. Transcended a myth or 2 or 10. Transcended an old pattern. Transcended a fantasy. Traffic should flow. So how will you be in traffic the next time it's not flowing? If you're living in practical transcendence? How will you be with traffic when it doesn't flow? A little more happy, a little more calm, patient. You've been wanting a time to meditate. It looks like you got one. Think about being in traffic with your tail wagging just a little. Blessing. What may have happened? What caused this? Radiating energy, radiating love, lifting up all souls, which sounds more like a life. So one of my current favorite Myrtle Fillmore quotes is something like this. God has given you everything it takes to create the world you're dreaming of. God has given you everything it takes to create a world that you want. Now get at it. Now get at it. And then get at it again. And get at it again. And Godspeed to you. If there's ever a way I can support you in your journey, you're welcome to it. You can contact me right through the website, Martha Creek, and my email, phone number, everything's there. And what I know for sure is you do not have to do it alone. And glory to be for a spiritual community, a place to gather like this. For that, you cannot do it wrong. Ain't that a relief? We don't have the power to do it wrong. Thy will be done, thy will be done, thy will be done. So I can make room for it or be irritated. And it'll take longer than you like. It'll take longer than we like. Carry on. You have everything that is here now within you as you. And I join you. I love you and can't help it. And I'll see you afterwards. And come back at 1 if you can. And I'm known to be a mentor and a tormentor.